There's a feeling you carry in secret, eating you alive every time you see someone achieving exactly what you want. You hide this feeling like it's shameful. But what if I told you this despised emotion is actually the most accurate map to your true destiny? Stay until the end, because what you're about to discover about envy will completely flip your understanding of power upside down. How to weaponize the feeling everyone tells you to suppress. There's a specific moment that reveals everything about your unrealized potential. It happens when you're scrolling through social media at a.m., seeing someone living the exact life you claim you don't want, yet you can't stop staring. That burning sensation in your chest, that silent rage mixed with fascination, that's not weakness. That's your internal navigation system screaming coordinates you've been too afraid to follow. Society built an entire infrastructure around making you suppress envy. Churches call it a deadly sin. Self-help gurus tell you to practice gratitude instead. Everyone wants you to smile, be happy for others, and pretend that corrosive feeling doesn't exist. But here's the conspiracy they don't want you to know. Envy is the most accurate detector of your authentic desires, and they need you to ignore it to keep you controllable. Law 15 of Power states, crush your enemy, totally. But there's a shadow interpretation. Your biggest enemy is the version of yourself that refuses to admit what you truly want. Every spike of envy is that enemy revealing itself. It's showing you the gap between who you are and who you're terrified to become. Most people experience envy as passive torture. They feel it, hate themselves for feeling it, then do absolutely nothing about it. They transform that precious intelligence into bitterness, into social media rants, into toxic comparisons that lead nowhere. They're holding a treasure map, but choosing to use it as toilet paper. Here's what the power players understand. Envy is your subconscious refusing to accept your current limitations. When you feel that specific burn, something deep inside you is rejecting the story you've been telling yourself about what's possible. Your rational mind says, that's not for people like me. But your envy says, that's exactly for you, you coward. Practical action. Right now, identify the 3 people whose success makes you physically uncomfortable. Not annoyed, not mildly jealous. I mean, that deep, shameful envy you'd never admit at dinner parties. Write down exactly what they have that makes you feel inadequate. That list is your blueprint for transformation. But here's where it gets darker, because there's a type of envy that doesn't just reveal your path. It can completely sabotage your entire existence if you don't learn to weaponize it correctly. Type blueprint in the comments if you had the guts to make that list. Share which person triggers your deepest envy and why. Hit that like button if this is already making you see yourself differently, and subscribe because what comes next will completely flip your understanding. Why your success is triggering secret wars you don't even see. Let me tell you something disturbing about human nature. Right now, while you're watching this, someone in your circle is hoping you fail. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your progress is a mirror reflecting their stagnation. And that psychological torture is creating invisible warfare against you. Here's the dark truth about envy dynamics. You don't need to be wildly successful to trigger it. Sometimes just choosing differently is enough. You quit the soul-crushing job? Envy. You started that side project? Envy. You set a boundary? Massive envy. Because every choice you make for yourself is a silent judgment on those who didn't have the courage to do the same. Look at what happened to Nikola Jokic, the NBA MVP. This guy came from nowhere, didn't fit the athletic prototype, was constantly underestimated. His success triggered intense envy from traditional basketball circles, who couldn't accept that someone so unconventional could dominate. But he used that doubt as fuel, that dismissal as motivation. Every skeptic became free advertising for his rise. Law 46 of Power teaches, never appear too perfect. But here's the sinister corollary. Recognize that your imperfect success triggers even more envy than polished perfection. Because if you can win while being flawed, what excuse do they have left? The conspiracy of mediocrity is real. Average people have an unspoken agreement. We all stay small together, and nobody makes the others look bad by actually trying. When you break that agreement, you become a traitor to the comfort zone collective, and they will punish you for it through subtle sabotage masked as concern. Watch for the patterns. The friend who always has a cautionary tale when you share good news. The family member whose advice always leads back to playing it safe. The colleague who suddenly gets quiet when you mention progress. These aren't coincidences. These are envy signatures. Practical action. For the next 7 days, track every interaction where someone responds to your success with dampening energy. Note who they are and what they said. This is your envy detection log. These people need strategic distance before they poison your ascent. The more envy you trigger, the closer you are to actual power. But there's a dangerous twist to this equation that changes everything about how you should move forward. Drop warfare in the comments if you've identified your secret saboteurs. Tell us the most surprising person who showed envy signs. Smash that like button and subscribe, because the next revelation will teach you the alchemy. What if the person you envy is actually your future self? Calling. Now we're entering the transformation chamber. Because identifying envy is useless if you don't know how to transmute it into rocket fuel. And here's the secret that separates empire builders from eternal spectators. The ability to reverse engineer success from the people who trigger your deepest jealousy. Every person you envy is a living proof of concept for what's possible. They're not special. They're not chosen. They just made different decisions and took actions you've been too scared to take. That's it. The whole mystique collapses when you see them as case studies instead of gods. Here's what nobody tells you. Envy is encrypted intelligence about your blind spots. When someone's success bothers you specifically, it's because they're living on the other side of a mental prison wall you've accepted as reality. They escaped. You're still inside, pretending the bars are immovable. Andrew Carnegie started as a poor Scottish immigrant, watching American industrialists with envy so intense it kept him awake at night. But instead of drowning in bitterness, he studied them obsessively. How they negotiated, how they built, how they crushed competition. His envy became his MBA. He didn't just reach their level, he exceeded it, becoming one of the wealthiest humans in history. Law 28 of Power commands, enter action with boldness. Decoded envy is exactly that, a call to audacious action. If you feel envy, that thing is achievable. If it were truly impossible for you, you'd feel nothing. Indifference, maybe, but not that burning cocktail of desire and resentment. But your brain has a sinister trick. It prefers the comfort of envious fantasizing over the discomfort of actual building. Passive envy is an anesthetic. It gives you the emotional satisfaction of wanting change without the pain of creating it. It's ambition. Cosplay. Practical action. Take that list from part 1. Pick one person. Now reverse engineer their path. What skills did they develop? What risks did they take that terrify you? What sacrifices did they make that you're unwilling to make? Create a 90-day plan to develop one of those characteristics. Imperfect action beats perfect planning every single time. Envy is only sin when it paralyzes. When it mobilizes, it's revelation. And now, going to show you the final level. How to orchestrate envy in others for strategic advantage. Type transmute in the comments and share which skill you're developing. First, hit like if you're feeling the shift happening. Subscribe because the finale delivers the complete protocol for envy mastery. How the real power players engineer envy like a weapon. We've arrived at the masterclass. You know how to read your envy, detect others' envy, and convert it to fuel. Now comes the darkest level. Deliberately cultivating envy in others as a tool of influence and control. Because true power players don't just manage envy, they orchestrate it like a symphony. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Creating controlled envy in your audience is the foundation of all influence. Every successful brand, every charismatic leader, every viral personality understands this. They're not just showing you their life, they're engineering your desire to have what they have. And once they have your envy, they have your attention. And attention is the only currency that matters. Think about Anna Wintour, the Vogue editor. She doesn't just lead fashion, she creates envy ecosystems. Every exclusive event, every limited access, every carefully curated appearance is designed to make people desperate to be in her orbit. The envy she generates translates directly into power, influence, and control over an entire industry. Law 6 of Power states, court attention at all cost. Envy is concentrated attention with emotional charge. When someone envies you, you occupy premium real estate in their mind. They think about you when they wake up, when they scroll, when they see anything that reminds them of what you have. That's real estate you didn't have to pay for. But there's a critical distinction. Aspirational envy versus destructive envy. Aspirational envy makes people want to join you, follow you, learn from you. Destructive envy makes them want to tear you down. The difference is in the presentation. Show the journey, not just the destination. Display possibility, not impossibility. The conspiracy is this: we live in an envy-driven economy. Content creators, entrepreneurs, leaders who master envy engineering control the narrative. They're not better than you. They just understand the game you're refusing to play. Practical action. For the next 30 days, document your transformation journey strategically. Share the struggles alongside the wins. Create a narrative that says, if I can do this, so can you. That's the envy that builds empires, not enemies. Envy was labeled sin because it holds too much power. Power to reveal truth, expose limitations, force transformation. But now, you have the decoder ring. Use it wisely. Use it strategically. And most importantly, use it before someone uses it against you. Write mastery in the comments and tell us what transformation you'll document. Like if this opened your eyes to the real game. Subscribe and share this with someone who needs to stop being controlled by envy and start controlling it. Disclaimer: this content presents reflections on power psychology and social dynamics for educational and personal development purposes. The strategies mentioned should be applied with ethics and responsibility. We do not encourage harmful manipulation or unethical behavior.